So today I'm here to talk about one of my other favorite shows that I used to watch on Cartoon Network all the times as a kid, Chowder. And I absolutely love this show, so I am just super excited to give my thoughts on this. So if you guys have anything you want to share with me when it comes to Chowder, as always, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Obviously, the first thing that you guys want to know is how I discovered Chowder. Like, how did Chowder enter my life for the very first time? Because obviously, a lot of us have stories when it comes to like, okay, this is how I discovered this show for the very first time. When it comes to flipping through channels when you're watching TV, or if it happens to be on after the previous show that you're watching, or you just discover about it online and you want to check it out yourself. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I discovered Chowder for the very first time. So I discovered Chowder, honestly, probably when I was just trying to browse through cartoons on TV to see what I wanted to watch, because I remember one time on Saturday morning, which is why one of the many reasons why I always looked forward to the weekends after school, was the fact that I had the opportunity to wake up that early morning and watch all of my favorite cartoons on the television. And I remember when Chowder came on, I just got really addicted to that show. And probably like the main reasons why I got so addicted to Chowder was the quirky characters that caught my attention throughout the show itself. I mean, you have characters like Chowder, you got Mung, you got Schnitzel, Panini. Those were characters that really stood out, that definitely made me want to watch the show and see what happened in each episode. And I just also loved the show when it came to the humor, when it came to like all the different kinds of funny things that was happening within the show itself, all the different kinds of adventures that you saw Chowder go on, and also a lot of the heartwarming moments that we saw within the episode itself. And it just made me really fall in love with Chowder, and I could really appreciate that because it's something that I could always look back at as a kid and remember like, okay, this was the first time that I've ever discovered Chowder. And I'm very thankful for that because I just love all the shows that I watched as a kid growing up. And obviously when it comes to my favorite characters in Chowder, I mean, there's a lot of characters for me to choose from, so it's kind of hard to really just talk about one character. Like, I have to talk about numerous characters in the show when it comes to Chowder. One of the first characters I do want to talk about in this show is Chowder. You see Chowder throughout the series always asking these various questions when it comes to him asking Mung questions when he's in the kitchen with him, or whenever he's going up to Schnitzel and asking him questions, even though Schnitzel is just saying a whole bunch of gibberish for the most part. And he just also has a very good-hearted nature, where even though he's like always getting into trouble because of the various things that he's trying to do, where he thinks he's trying to help people, but in reality he's just making things worse. It's just his innocence and his pure intentions that really make him impossible not to like as a character. So that's why I really love Chowder, because he's a very likable character in my opinion. And I also really like Mung as well because of his humor within the series itself, which always makes me laugh. And I could also remember the dirty jokes as a kid that Mung used to do all the time within the show itself, that I didn't really catch on until a little bit later in my life when I eventually decided to go back and rewatch a couple episodes of Chowder, and I could be like, okay, now I know what this means. And also, I really love Panini because of her whole obsession with Chowder. I always thought it was absolutely hilarious. And I also really love Schnitzel as well because of all the rambling he used to do all the time, and he was just a very funny character whenever he always used to get grumpy all the time because you never really knew what Schnitzel was mad about. It was just very funny to hear his reactions to a lot of things, especially when he was going on a rant. And obviously when it comes to any cartoon, like you always look at those unforgettable episodes that you're always going to remember whenever you're reflecting back on one of your favorite cartoons growing up. Like if I had to give an example, when I was watching SpongeBob as a kid, because SpongeBob is one of my favorite cartoons of all time. It probably is my favorite cartoon of all time. But I remember when I was watching SpongeBob as a kid, one of my favorite episodes was the Krusty Krab pizza, where SpongeBob and Squidward had to deliver this pizza, and there was just a lot of humorous moments within that episode itself that really made it stand out, and it was just one of my favorite episodes, especially when SpongeBob was singing the Krusty Krab pizza song. I used to just laugh my ass off all the time when I was watching that episode. And when it comes to Chowder, honestly, one of my favorite episodes would have to be the Heavy Sleeper episode, because in that episode itself, you see Chowder try to help Mung overcome his insomnia. And it was just very funny just seeing like what happened within these various situations within the episode itself, and all these different kinds of creative solutions that Chowder was trying to come up with to help Mung overcome his insomnia. It just made me laugh every single time. And also, I would probably have to say the Puckleberry episode was also another favorite episode of mine because of Chowder's love for the Puckleberries, which eventually led to a lot of chaos in the kitchen itself. So that's another episode I can bring up when it comes to Chowder, because it's just episodes like that when there's like a lot of chaos involved, and there's just all these different kinds of scenarios being played out at once, were always the best episodes of Chowder, in my personal opinion. Obviously, when you're watching the show, there's always something that really sticks out when you're watching it. And one of the things that really stuck out when it came to Chowder was the humor within the show itself, because like I mentioned before, there was just so many moments within this episode itself that always made me laugh every single time. Because Chowder, when you watch the show itself, like if you're watching it for the first time or you've just been a fan of Chowder ever since it originally started and you were just watching every single episode when it was coming out, Chowder just had a perfect blend of that typical, slapstick comedy with the different kinds of wordplay and the clever references that we were seeing showcased within the episode itself, just being put into all these different kinds of ridiculous situations to just create like all of these different kinds of humor scenarios that was being played out within the show itself, because a lot of those scenarios are very silly and smart at the exact same time, which really made the show stand out, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, whenever I think about Chowder, it's always going to be the first thing that ever pops up in my head. And also, when it comes to a show that you're watching, there's always like a particular reason like why you're watching that show. Like when I was watching SpongeBob as a kid, bringing up SpongeBob again, I always used to watch SpongeBob because it always made me laugh and it always made me feel like I was in my comfort zone. And I would have to say with Chowder, it was pretty much like another comfort show that I used to watch all the time, and it definitely inspired me to look more into things later in life, because when it came to Chowder helping me find my comfort zone, it pretty much helped me out whenever I was feeling stressed or overwhelmed about various things within my life itself. If it was stuff with school or stuff with family or wherever the case may be that was bothering me around the time. And whenever I had the opportunity to watch Chowder on the TV, it always just put a smile on my face. It always made me laugh all the time. And when I was watching all these different kinds of things being showcased within the episode itself, it always helped remind me to appreciate the simple things in my life so I didn't overthink things all the time. And also, I really loved the different kinds of themes that was being showcased within these episodes itself when it came to the themes of friendship, showcasing the relationships between Chowder, Mung, and Schnitzel. When it came to the creativity, especially when it came to things in the kitchen or other things that played out within the show itself, it just helped inspire me to pursue my own passions and dreams when it came to a lot of things I was very passionate about, which eventually led me down the road today where I always just love sitting in front of the camera and just sharing my thoughts and everything that I love. And that's what really makes me feel happy, when I'm able to express my affection for various things that I enjoy in my life. And I also want to talk about why Chowder endures. Like, why is Chowder a show that like matters? Like, what is the whole reason behind Chowder overall? And honestly, I would have to say, like, when it comes to the Chowder series, it would probably have to be because of its timeless humor, as we've seen numerous times throughout the series itself, because that's definitely one of the biggest strengths of Chowder. And I also have to mention the lovable characters that I went over as well when it came to Chowder, Schnitzel, Panini, when it came to Mung, and also like the various themes that it covers, as well as I went over earlier when it came to friendship and the creativity that was being shown within the episode itself. And I also loved that the show's creator itself has managed to create a world that's beloved by multiple people. Like, it's not just appealing to kids or adults, it's made to appeal to audiences of all ages, which definitely makes a lot of sense, because looking back as a kid, I absolutely loved everything going on in Chowder. And now as an adult looking back at Chowder, I also still appreciate everything that was shown to me as I was watching that show now. And it just made me really excited to tune into an episode of Chowder so I can experience all these different kinds of adventures and misadventures that Chowder went on within the series itself, which made me appreciate the show and just acknowledge that it is like one of my favorite shows of all time when it came to all of those Cartoon Network shows that came out many years ago. Like, that era of Cartoon Network, as I mentioned various times, was a very special place, and I was happy to be a part of that era of Cartoon Network to witness a cartoon like Chowder when it came out around that time period. But overall, those are all my thoughts on the Chowder series. I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Like, how do you guys feel about Chowder when it comes to the series as a whole? What is your favorite characters? What is your favorite episodes? Is there anything particular that you want to say about Chowder that I didn't talk about in this video? Be sure to let me know all your thoughts about that in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoy the content on this channel, be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, because I absolutely love talking about all these different kinds of cartoons that I love on this channel. And if you guys want to be notified whenever I upload a video on the channel, so be sure to click on that bell below so you guys are notified right away whenever I upload a video. And also, if you guys want to check out my social media when it comes to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, and my TikTok, all of that is located in the description below. But other than that, I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day, wherever the day may be, if it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.